All right, everybody, welcome to Sunday morning yoga. We have decided collectively that we're not going to do vinyasa today, and we're going to do more of a yin practice. It's going to be a little bit shorter than normal because we've been chatting this morning. If you've got blocks and a strap, please go ahead and grab them. And let's make our way onto our mats. Let's find child's pose. So in a yin practice, there is efforting. There's a little bit more efforting than a restorative practice, which is more passive. The intention is to make more space, like in your joints and your connective tissue. Honestly, you can't change your connective tissue, but we can make space in those areas, and that's kind of the purpose of yin. You might actually also get into some of the fascial stuff as well. Finding child's pose, feel free to support yourself with a block either under your forehead or maybe underneath your bottom. I like to start with my elbows flared out. Helps to soften and relax the shoulders. You can start to draw your attention into your breath. Breathing in for a count of 3 and out for a count of 3. Breath in and breath out, really using your exhale to soften, letting yourself melt into the floor. As we begin our practice, let's invite collective intention into our space. The intention I'm offering you this morning is the word courage. Divine courage is not the absence of fear, but a nudge that says, keep going, do it, don't worry, all will be well. You have to get quiet enough to hear it. Dear Divine, may I feel your courage and your will. I'm going to read that one more time. If this is something that you would like to align with, just breathe it into your space. Let it sit in your belly. Divine courage is not the absence of fear, but a nudge that says, keep going, do it. Don't worry, all will be well. You have to get quiet enough to hear it. Dear Divine, may I feel your courage and your will. So maybe there's something in your life today that you're feeling like you need a little bit of courage. Keep in mind that courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is going through and into the fear. Let's take one more breath in. And on your exhale, walk the hands over to the right side of your mat. This will be our first yin pose, or child's pose is definitely yin pose. As you settle in, I want you to find your personal edge so that there's definitely something happening. There's an opening. It should never be so intense that you begin to brace other places in your body. Your hands can stay parallel, or your left hand can cross and rest on the right. Consciously breathe into the left side body, making space between each rib. Feeling the stretch in the opening all the way through the rib cage down to the hip. with each of our poses, I'm going to give some cues, and then I'm going to be quiet so that you can hear those gentle nudges in the silence. Last breath in. And on your exhale, walk your hands back to center. We're going to shift into a table, give our knees and our ankles a little break, and thread the needle. So threading the needle, take the right hand and right shoulder, bring it down to the mat. Face turns to the left. Take some time to align your hips over your knees. And then your left hand, I'm going to kind of encourage you to walk it past your head and tenth the fingers. So that means you're on your fingertips. And you kind of press the floor away and pull your left shoulder back towards your hip. That's one option. So if you're feeling that, go ahead and take it. Otherwise, maybe a half bind is feeling better for you today. Whatever you're choosing, I want you to bring a little bit of action into this by pressing into the right shoulder, helping to rotate and lift your chest a little more. Anchoring back to your breath. And slow breath in for 3 and breath out for 3. Breath in for 3 and out for 3. One more breath in. And on your exhale, slowly come back to a table. Let's do a little cat stretch. Rounding the back, tucking the chin. On the fingertips, pushing the mat away. Let's stay right here. So you're rounding, 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 tucking, tucking, tucking the chin. Toes can be curled under or feet can be flat on the mat. You can also maybe shift the hips slightly back towards the heels if that adds to this pose for you. And as you breathe, maybe send the breath into the back side body. If you're feeling your knees at all, you can always grab some extra cushion, roll your mat up, grab a blanket. Let's see if there's space. Can you round a little more? Can you tuck your chin even deeper? Last breath in. And exhale, come back to your neutral table. We're going to go back to child's pose. So bringing the knees wide or as wide as feels comfortable. Sit the hips back. And then take the hands over to the left side of the mat. Looking for lots of space and opening in the right side body through the rib cage down to the hip. Hands can be parallel or right hand on top of left. You can always use a pillow underneath. Wherever your hamstrings are resting on your calves if you need a little bit more space, or ankles or knees. And then consciously breathe into the right side body, make space. With our yin practice, there's a little bit of efforting. So think about your hands kind of striving towards the left and your right hip drawing back towards the heel. And see if there's more space. Maybe you want to move the hands a little bit more. Maybe this is enough. One more breath in. And on your exhale, bring your hands back to center. Shifting forward into a table. Bring the knees back under the hips. We're going to thread the needle opposite side. So left hand, left shoulder drops down to the mat. Face turns to the right. Take the hips and align them over the knees best you can. And then option for the right arm to maybe walk past the head, tenting the fingertips, and then pulling the shoulder back. That's one option. Another option would be maybe to take a half bind. And as you settle in, bring some action into this by pressing into the left shoulder, rotating, lifting your chest even more. And then finding that quiet space, connecting with your breath. You can also take the time to notice how one side feels compared to the other. If there's more space or less space in particular areas. We're doing so without judgment. It's only getting curious, being nosy about your own body. Take one more breath in. And exhale, slowly unwind. Push yourself into a table. Come back to that cat stretch, either with palms flat or on the fingertips. Rounding your back, tucking your chin, really pushing the floor away. Option to shift the hips back towards the heels for more. Let's see if there's space. Can you draw your navel in a little deeper? Tuck the chin again. Maybe what happens if you walk the hands a little closer towards your kneecaps? And let's do one more breath in. And exhale, slowly release. Come back to your table. We're going to make our way into a lizard pose. I would have blocks handy for this one. So in our lizard pose, take your right foot, bring it up to the outside of your right hand. So your stance is a little bit wider. You can have your hands flat on the floor. You can have your hands on blocks here. I'm going to give you the option later to maybe go on your forearms. And then sink your hips down towards the mat. So we're hitting this hip flexor area. Grab some extra cushion for your knee as needed. Now, if this feels like enough, you can stay right here. If you do not have knee issues in your right knee, you can take your right knee and drop it off to the side so that your foot actually rolls on the edge. And widen through the chest and collarbones. Bring the shoulder blades together and down towards the back. We're kind of hitting two physical focal points with this. One is the hip flexor, the area you might feel the outside of the right, kind of that glute area, outer glutes, outer hip, maybe some inner thigh. If you want to go deeper, you can always come down to the forearms. I like to be on the forearms on my blocks because the mat is just a little too deep for me. Remember, you're looking for your own edge. You should definitely be feeling something. It should not be painful or so intense that you engage in clenched muscles in other places of your body. This is probably one of my favorite yin poses, this lizard pose. Anchoring into your breath, inhaling for 3, exhaling for 3. Sometimes in our yoga practice, we might have emotions that rise back to the surface, or maybe thoughts or memories. All of that is stored within your tissues. So when we open places, some of that stuff has space to rise. If it does, please acknowledge it, whatever it is, it's asking to be acknowledged. And then you can let it pass through. Often in a yin practice, and the point where it feels like, oh, I want to come out of this, that is the point that you should stay. Go ahead and take one more breath in. And on your exhale, you're going to slowly come out, maybe onto the hands. Bring the right knee back over the ankle. And then we're going to sweep the right foot back, make our way right into the left side. So the left foot comes out to the edge of the mat or to the outside of the left hand. Grab extra cushion for your right knee as needed. Let the hips sink down towards the floor. And then this might be enough. Maybe this is where you want to stay. If it's okay in your left knee, you can take it and drop it out to the side while flexing the left foot. Flexing just helps with alignment with ankles and knees and hips and keeping everything a little bit safer. Breath in and breath out. So feel free to be on your hands or even on blocks. Maybe as you settle into this space, you can come onto forearms on your blocks. Notice if you're holding or bracing yourself. Is there space to maybe melt, soften into it a little bit more? Do one more breath in And exhale, slowly come out. Sweeping the left knee back towards the right. You can set your blocks aside if you were using them. And sit back on the heels and sweep your feet off to the side or around to the front. Grab your strap if you have one. Extending, extending the legs long. Take your strap and wrap it around the balls of your feet. Squeezing your thighs, flexing, sitting up nice and tall. Breath in. On your exhale, you're going to hinge forward, keeping your back flat as you can until you feel the stretch. You might have to adjust kind of where your hands are on your strap. Once you're there, think about taking your shoulder blades, bringing them down together and down towards the tailbone, kind of offering your chest, your collarbones towards your kneecaps, towards your shins, towards your feet, like you're lifting your tailbone. And keeping your back flat as possible. Notice where your head and your chin is in space. Think about length, so length through your tailbone, through the crown of your head, maybe even just slightly dip the chin. Keep your thighs strong, engaging and flexing feet. As you work into this, maybe there's space. Maybe you can grab a little bit closer towards your feet. Maybe you can even grab your feet. The goal of this is definitely not to grab the feet, but to find space and opening in the backs of the legs. It's our intention, our focal point. And to go in deeper, take your belly and press it towards your thighs, maybe even arching your low back a little bit, tailbone reaching for the ceiling. Keep engaging here, lifting chest, squeezing thighs, flexing feet. Breathing in for 3 and out for 3. Go ahead and take one more breath in. And breath out. You can slowly come back. Cross the ankles. For our last little bit here, I'm going to go back to the shoulders. We'll do cow's face arms. So if you're going to use a strap, which I encourage, take your strap and double it up and then double it up again. We'll start on the right side. With in your seated position, just get comfortable. So if easy seated works for you, or being on your knees works for you, or grabbing a pillow works for you, go ahead, grab that. Taking your right hand up, palm facing away, then bend your elbow. So now your palm is facing in, left hand, palm facing away, bring it into your middle back, grab that strap, and then work the hands together to find your edge. Find that place of opening. The sun really came out here and is shining brightly on me. And then in this pose, notice if you are poking your rib cage out, if you're kind of like hyperextending your rib cage, use the strength of your core to draw it back in. Chin is parallel with the floor, right elbow lifted up towards the sky or the ceiling. So there might be a tendency to kind of let it sag in, towards the face or down towards the mat. If you can lift it up, lifting it up. As your body opens, you can see if there is space. Maybe you want to bring your hands closer together. Maybe you want to grab for fingertips. Or maybe this is enough right here. Do one more breath in. And breath out. And go ahead, slowly release. Maybe you want to roll the shoulders a little bit. Notice how one shoulder feels compared to the other. And then we'll set up for the left side. So if you're using a strap, take your strap in your left hand, up towards the sky, bend at the elbow, palm is facing in. Right hand, palm facing away, sweep it in towards that middle back. Grab your strap and then walk the hands as close as kind of they want to go. Find that space where you might be a little bit uncomfortable. It's okay to be uncomfortable in our yoga practice. That's often where the growth is, whether you're on the mat or off the mat. The growth is in the space where we are uncomfortable. And then refining your form, drawing the navel back in, maybe lifting the left elbow a little higher up towards the ceiling or the sky. Chin is parallel with the floor. And settle in, anchor to your breath. You see if you want more out of this by bringing the hands closer together, walking up your strap. Maybe, maybe not. Let's take one more breath in. And exhale, slowly release. You can set your strap aside. Maybe roll the shoulders, bring in any movement that would feel good. And we're going to make our way down onto our backs for Shavasana. So any way that you can, just come on to your back. Get yourself comfortable and relaxed. Always have the option to have the legs long, rest your head on a pillow. If you have the legs in fallen bridge with the knees dropping in, resting on one another. As you settle, let's really feel our body. See what's been maybe shifted or opened in a little bit deeper way. That physical opening may have resulted in some emotional body openings or things that were previously stuck. Maybe, maybe not. Just notice. Yoga people, I am going to encourage you to stay in this Shavasana as long as you would like. So if more is needed, please stay. If you are ready to move on, you can slowly bend your knees and plant your feet back on the floor. Lift your hips and shift them over to the right, preparing to roll on the left side. Taking a moment on the left to transition. And slowly come back to seated. To end our practice, let's bring your hands back to heart center. Slightly bow your chin or your head. Close your eyes if you'd like. Realigning with our intention of courage. Divine courage is not the absence of fear, but a nudge that says, keep going, do it. Don't worry, all will be well. You can take this intention with you for the rest of the day if you'd like, or maybe leave it right here. Thank you so much for your practice. Namaste.